Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life. A Professor Sunreis Productions! Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. You boarded it again. I got first played as an OTS championship last Saturday, playing of course again Dragon Link. The list is pretty similar to national list. The side deck is the complete same. The extra deck is just 2 slots, and I did some tweaks to the main deck, which I'm gonna go over later on in this video. I did play the black metal again, so I'll quickly just run through the list for you guys so that you can catch it, and then we'll do a big discussion about black metal at the end of the video and a little bit about Branded Beast, because there has been a hype of not playing Branded Beast anymore. I'm just gonna give you guys my thought for that. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave some feedback down in the comment section below, and let's get right into the video. So let's quickly go over the matchups. Don't want to waste too much time on the deck profile, and I want to go to the discussion about black metal later on in the video. My matchups were first one Orcus, then then Lab, then Kashtira, then Runic Furhire Sprite, Brave Sprite in the 5th round, and the last round it was against Vanquish Souls. Overall 6-0 in 43 persons. Nothing crazy, but also nothing to scoff at. And let's get into the deck profile itself. For starters, I did play the 3 black metal. This was insane. Initially, I was scared about going above 43, so I couldn't really fit this in. But with a lot more hand traps being played, especially at like a YCQ, not YCQ, at a championship OTS level, compared to at like a YCS or a NATS or EU or an AYCQ, because there's probably not going to be as much Kashtira. I really felt comfortable with this, and this was insane at going first. And then afterwards, I did the math, and I noticed that you don't really lose all too much all over through the board, like non-engine starters, all that. It's nothing really crazy, and especially because you play even more starters than you would without playing the black metal. I think a black metal believer, but more on that later on in the theory part. Of course, we have the Safer, we have the black metal with that, we have the Wyver Burster with that, and then we have the Chaos Base. Levy came up in clutch. I hard through this a lot, and like Levy already is crazy if the opponent knows that it's coming, but I had like a hard draw Levy twice or thrice, I think even, and it just ripped them apart. Love this card. Still wouldn't play the Chaos Emperor Dragon just because I don't see a reason to play a very grindy card right now, because the deck inherently grinds so well. If Magna goes to 1 at some point, though, I would probably play the Chaos Emperor just so that you could recur it more often. Bystial's pretty standard. Still the 3 Serenity, just because it gives us more access into Rebellion, but most importantly into Regain, because we are still a Branded Beast enjoyer, not a Regain enjoyer. Drewsworm and still the Baldrake. And of course, Regain Branded Beast. Would never cut this. Gabriel Nets and his buddies did cut the Branded Beast. I can't really see the reason for that. I don't know if they go for Borderlands and just hope to not get like Lava Golem or Dark Roulette, or they still go for Seal Disparter lines. But then the Branded Beast just inherently plays so well with a low investment board, and it's super well positioned in the meta right now. It's really important against Kashtira to have this 1 pop for the Theosis target, or in general, just to deal with like one of their starters super well. Especially with Drewsworm, like a double pop is still insane against that matchup, even though it's a little less good. Against Labyrinth, it's an auto win just because if we set up our board, they can't do anything against us, especially with a Levy ad in the end phase. Against Runic variants, Regain is better, yes, but we definitely want to have a second target for Rebellion for banishing reasons and grind game reasons, and then the Branded Beast can just get back the Regained in the like turn 3, turn 4, so that's still insane. Against Sprite, going first it's insane, and going second we can just cut it out. But going first, it's still super well positioned. And that's basically all of the meta matchups. Branded, yeah, it is bad. But then again, we have a good Branded matchup initially anyway. So I'm a huge believer for this card. And you a lot of times will side this out going second. But 50% of the times you're going first anyway. So huge believer. I don't know why they cut this. Baldric, on the other hand, I can agree with just cutting this. While this is in theory a disruption, it's a super telegraph disruption. And it gives your opponent a lot of room to play around it. In the end, I decided to still play this just because it's a very good utility card. In the worst case, it's just a decent extender. I don't think I ever resolved this card for like a meaningful effect anyways. I could have hit it in the Runic Furhire matchup, but I think it was correct not to use it there. But in hindsight, I could maybe see myself cutting this, but who knows. Maybe then I would also cut the Baldricks from the side deck and just play the Drewsworms, maybe play some Ashes or something. I will maybe test with that out a little bit, but because I'm at 45 and I'm actually fine with the math on like my non-engine and starters, I might as well just keep it in for the utility. Rocket stuff, pretty standard. This is like basically the standard ratio right now. I was on the 3 tracer, but with 3 black metal, you cannot play 3 tracers, just too many normals. And no knock division because of space reasons. Of course, you will probably not miss it unless you hard draw Sacred Absorata, but we still have so many ways of resolving Absorata in hand, or like unbreaking it. You don't really need it. The only downside I see of playing 45 is seeing less Chaos Space, which is fine because we play a black metal, which is that's a very similar thing to Chaos Space, but we see less quick launches and less Saki ways into synchros, which is not fine, but it's only like a very minuscule percent chance. More on that later. So I think it's a worthwhile trade, and we can always go to 44. And at that point, the difference between 43 and 44 is like even less impactful than the difference between 43 and 45. Of course, we have the field spell. Non-engine, still the same as Nationals. Still believe of Imperm. I did consider playing Nips, but Imperm is just more generic, and it's also an Arise Heart out, and Nip, they could play around that. Nip is very good, of course, also being a light and also being high impactful going first. But for that, I have a Book of Moon, which is also pretty high impact not going first. Not gonna lie, against Sprite, against Kashtira, it's insane. Everything else, we don't really need that because Bystials are non-engine against those matchups anyways. And then I was considering playing Book of Eclipse going like in the main deck and putting the Book of Moons in the side or cutting them out completely and playing like a Floodgate for going first. But ultimately I decided because I want to have 6 books going first against Kashtira because it kind of is like a Floodgate against them. Was like a very high impactful card for going first, and I wanted to have the most Arise Hearts out possible while also staying somewhat generic, especially for the main deck, but also still for the side deck. I wanted to have that genericness. I don't know if that's a word for my Arise Heart out. Like I said, 45 cards, extra deck, Striker Dragon, Romulus, still 2 seal. I'm a believer of 2 seal. This is my slot for when I get nipped. A lot of times I will try to not Darklock myself, or if I Darklock myself, that I can go for this Pata line if I get nipped with the seal on board, or like resolve my Lubellion at this point, so that I always have something to go into after I get sealed, get nipped with my seal on board. And a lot of times this will just be the second nip. You could argue to play something differently there. I was never missing like anything else in the extra deck, apart from maybe a Unicorn against Lab, but I still won that 2-0, so of course I didn't really need it. And the second seal, similar to Atum, if this comes up, this will probably win you the game, and this just seems like a super high impact card, even if it only comes up every 3rd or 4th game. If you win those matches, because of that, I think it's like a very worthwhile slot for the extra deck. Kashtira is also still a thing, right? Unicorn could rip something from the extra deck, so having the seal for that could be good. So I ultimately, because I didn't really miss anything in the extra deck, I think this is a good pickup. Boral End line, of course, pretty standard. Went through this quite a bit. And yeah, it's insane. It's Boral End, it wins you games. Dark, because of the new black metal in there, the siding patterns did switch up a little bit, and I didn't side with the Ravine package nearly as often as I did before. I still sided it out plenty of times, so Dark is the go-to link for going second anyways. But yeah, Dark is just Bay going second. Searching Levy is insane. We do gotta keep the Levy in going second, which can be a little bit of a break, but because it's so good at breaking boards, I think it's worth it. Quad Boral, this card was insane the whole tournament. I would have come up in the final to burn for time with the Scarlight, but other than that, this card helped me OTK, helped me push through boards, get us back into the Rocket Engine, especially now that we play one less Tracer. We want to get into the Rocket Engine even more, and once we have the Rocket Engine, we can easily get back into it with the Quad Boral while breaking the boards and going for like a Link Climbs into Borrowland and then like go for the Synchro plays because of the Quad Boral. That was really good. Savage, Baron, Dispada, these are standard. Baron came up less. I don't think did I ever do this? Maybe once, but still would play it just because the times it does come up it's insane. I think it is once or twice, so it definitely was worth the slot. Chaos Angel, I was considering to cut this because at Nats I only summoned this once, but ever since then I summoned this more and more, and it kind of feels like a utility slot. And because I'm playing so many Bystials, and of course inherently so many level 4s, this is like super easy to make at just breaking boards. You don't even need to make this for a tower, but I just use this to out like annoying back row cards like Concon or like Fountain. So this feels like a similar role to Baron, where it's like a synchro-ish 10, where you can just force out back row and you don't even need a tuner for that, so it's pretty free even with Wyver Burster or Collapse Serpent. So I wasn't greeting for the tower ability, but I was just using it to out annoying not floodgates, but field spells most of the time. Scarlight didn't summon this once, would have done it in the finals, but I luckily top deck a Levy and I could just attack for a game. Otherwise, I would have gone for Scarlight to burn for time. Yeah, because I top deck good, I didn't need this, but other than that, if I had like a whiffed top deck, I would have had a guaranteed line into this with a quad barrel, so that was it. And then 1 or 2. Similar to the seal, or just the same reason. If this comes up and resolves, you win the game. So it's super high impact and can also bait out disruption if you play like draw a lot of Bystials. And can just also help going second once you got rid of all of the spot removal. This can be a really good card to go into as well. One last thing which I forgot to mention, why I'm a huge fan of the Caliber. Not only did I use it a lot of times, but also more importantly, a lot of times they had the ability to go for 3 rockets in Grave, so that my boot sector would just be like a soul charge, basically. Like reviving 3 cards is insane off the boot sector, so having the additional name for that is really good, because people are playing 2 Recharger and 2 Tracer just because they want to have like the names, just to make quick launches not that so quick, and to always be able to summon something out of the deck, and I'd much rather just have an additional name there. It being a tuner is a nice upside as well, but I definitely really like the additional name there. Now quickly for the side deck. This is the same side deck at Nats, so we quickly go over this. Book of Eclipse, Nib, Talons. Yeah, I set all of these in against Kashira, even though Talons is not as clean, but I figured I play so many Rise Art out, I might as well focus a little bit on everything else, which is not a Rise Art, so like the Fenrir, the Hand Traps, like Ash on Chaos Space, we can fight that against with Talons, and if we only draw Talons, we still at least have a Rise Art out with it. Even if they like banish our normal summon, we still get like a dark body on the board to still go into a dark, revive the Rise Art, make some cute plays here and there. So this was fine, and of course it's mostly used against opponents' Bystials or like hand trips, or just as a very good generic going second card. And then Cosmic and the Bystials. Like I said earlier, I don't play a Floodgate for going first, just because I feel like the engine is already so well positioned into playing into the format against hand traps. We do have the talents to counteract those, and like a very easy fallback to seal control. Where Floodgate would be decent, of course, like anti-spell to support that with Seal Pass, but it's not necessary. And against all of the board breakers, which you try to combat with anti-spell or virus, like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, stuff like that, the deck inherently is so well positioned anyways, because Savage can deal with one of them. If we get Dark Ruler, we don't die, and we still have a Branded Beast and maybe a Regained, and we have insane amounts of follow-up. Against Evenly, we don't die, and we get even more follow-up because we use Seal, bounce like a Lubellion or something, and we still have Branded Beast. So I think because it's so well positioned into those board breakers, I don't see the reason to play the Floodgate right now, and then I'd much rather have these 3 slots extra in my extra deck and just play something else, because I have decent slots for going first anyway with the Book of Eclipse, the Nib, and the Talents. I don't really see myself losing all too much going first, just from a power perspective post side, so I really liked not playing that Floodgate. Like I said, you could argue to cut the Ball Drakes and play some Ashes over it, just because they would fill a similar role. You don't need to have 2 more Bystials against like Life Sprite or Branded, or Labyrinth, because Ash against 2 of those 3 matchups is better than the Bystial. It's only against like Life Sprite where you would like miss the Ball Drakes, but Ash is also fine against that. You hit like a fountain, so I might consider playing 2 Ashes over these Ball Drakes. But that's it for the deck profile. Let's get into the black metal discussion. So now that we've taken a look at the list, let's take a look at the math and all the theory behind black metal. So is black metal Bay or is he nay? Let's take a look at the pros and cons. So for pros, of course, we have extra starters. You just have more ways into Envin if you play black metal. Getting 2 dragons on the board is one of the fundamentals of a Dragon Link, so having 3 normal summons who do that is always a benefit, especially if it also adds additional utility. Having a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in the graveyard is insane, or in the banish part, because you can exit this via Pisty or via Dissipator, giving you even more extension once you got the setup. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is also not only a starter, but also once you already have some setup there going, you can revive your Magnemids, everything out of the graveyard, so it's lots of utility. And the Black Metal Dragon is also an insane target for seals. So if you get nipped and you're not dark locked anymore, you can go into another seal super easily. So especially with my version playing 2 seals, that's an even bigger upside in my version. And it also plays really good into Droll and other hand traps. Just having the additional push to play through hand traps is always like a very welcome addition. And also it searching 2 times, like searching 2 cards at the same time, also plays decently into Droll. For the cons, it's bad at going second. It's a normal summon which doesn't do anything while it's on the board, and it also can be very easily dealt with all of the current cards running around in the meta. It's very bad into Shifter. It's a normal summon which is not a level 4, so it doesn't offer any Chaos Angel lines, and if it gets hit by a Shifter, you cannot reuse its effect, so at that point it's just the vanilla normal of a dragon monster, and it competes with a lot of other normal summons, while it does have the ability to make use out of them, either by summoning a Seyfried, using the Seyfried as a discard fodder because you went into a Romulus, summoning the Tracer, or getting you into the boot sector, which can get out the Tracer. Going second, it can lead to bricking, and it's just deck space. It does take 4 additional cards, and you want to have some more cards of certain option as well. So now that we've taken a look at all of the pros and cons, let's take a look at the math and let the math speak for us, because it's always kind of hard to evaluate cards just going from this standpoint. So in the 43 card version, so in the version I was using a German Ants, I had an 87. This is a 7. It looks a lot like a 1, but this is a 7. At an 87% chance of seeing a play. With that, I mean I had either a quick launch, Chaos Base, Seyfried, or any even of the bad normal summons, just so that I have a normal summon on the board, which can I use to link off into Striker, so that I can use my Bystials to extend my plays. I had an 87% chance of that. For a starter, I did count the Chaos Base in the Seyfried, and I had a 54% chance of seeing any of these, so 1 card Romuluses, I guess. I have a 31% chance of seeing a 3-off, so that's a Chaos Base, but more importantly, a Quick Launch, a Lubellion, stuff like that. I have a 22% to see any of the 2 bricks. For the bricks, I counted the Boot Sector and the Branded Beast, because all of the other ones can at least lead to some sort of play. The Recharger can be normal, Ravine can be a decent card, but you could probably count it to a brick as well, and the Regain can be quite easily recycled. These are just the cards which have no added benefit in the hand whatsoever, especially going second. The Branded Beast can as well be fine. It's always super hard to evaluate bricks in this game, especially in Dragon Link, because a lot of times these still can be used to some merit, and they are not completely dead cards. They're no garnets, right? We had a 77% chance to see an Arise out. Of course, this is going second, so we will having 1 card more. And post-fight, this goes up to 92%. So overall, looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the 45 card version variant I was using at the OTS Championship. We had a 90% chance to see a play, because we have the 3 black metal more, of course, that makes sense. We have just 1 less Tracer and 3 more black metal. We have a 69% chance to see a starter. We are running 3 more and only 2 cards more in the deck. Of course, we have a higher chance. We have a 30% chance to see 3-off, so it's only a 1% less chance to see the quick launches, to see the Lubellion, etc., etc. We have a 21% chance to see a brick, so 1% chance less to see a brick. That's pretty good. We have a 76% chance to see an Arise out, so it's only 1% less, and then post side it's only 2% less. Of course, we could also still have different siding patterns with the Black Metal Dragon. So in reality, I think I had a better chance to see an outpost side, just because I was siding in the Talons, the Book of Eclipses, and the Nibiru's. Of course, I did side out a lot of non-engine. I did side out a lot of the Black Metals. So we'll have to make the math if the way to get into a play is even big enough to see a play consistently going second, while also having a consistent chance to see the Arise out, but this would just be too much for this video because this is just purely on black metal and how it would perform. So overall, it's looking pretty solid. So let's take a look at the conclusion. The extra consistency and utility is really good, just having that way bigger chance of seeing a play, but also more importantly, see a play which can play through certain things, especially going first, is very, very welcome. The drawbacks for seeing non-engine and unsearchable things is very little. It's only like a 1% or 2% decrease in chance, while having like a 20%, take a look, like a 15% chance of seeing an additional starter and a 3% chance of seeing a play going first, which are huge percentage, especially the starter chance. It's huge compared to the 1 or 2% chance of not seeing or seeing a brick or not seeing like your quick launch to extend. Going second, the downsides are manageable, especially post side. You'll still have the 50% chance of going first in game 1, of course, and then it's only like the 50% chance where you go second, where this card could really be a downside. And it's a game one, a lot of things can happen there. In my opinion, it's way more important to have a play when going first than to have a suboptimal play when going second. So to conclude, we can say black metal is bae. And that's basically it for today's video. So as always, you guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.